Down 28-3 at one point. It looked like A&M wasn't going to win this game, and they might get smashed. David Cutcliffe, the Duke coach, said in preparing for this Aggie team that Johnny Manziel there's never been a guy that's been better at ad-libbing plays, and that's the play that obviously you've been talking about, we've been talking about here as we watched it. And in the end, it looked like Duke might beat A&M worse than Duke beat Elon in basketball. Instead, Johnny Manziel, in what we presume is his last college football game, did exactly, John, what we thought we thought he might, and entertain us in a way that very few ever have.
We'll see the play again from many angles as a new NFL head coach and top 10 plays of the year. But first, we got to go back to Atlanta. Reese Davis, what a show.
What a show indeed, guys. 52-48. You ring out 2013 with your basic 100-point performance for both teams. Johnny Manziel throwing for 382, running for 73 more, accounting for 5 touchdowns, and the Aggie fans hopeful, wishing maybe somehow, some way Manziel will decide to come back for at least one more year. If not, what a way to go out. We expected Johnny to just ball out, and he really did that despite falling in a big hole early.
What's new? I feel like we see him do this each and every week. He loves the big stage because it gives him the opportunity to be the star, and he was absolutely that again here tonight. Arguably maybe his tour de force performance and maybe his last game in college football. He was everything to his team tonight, not just on the field with respect to the execution. And we saw him very accurate all game long. I still can't describe what just happened on this play, how he was able to keep his feet. But again, he just makes these plays routine, and I think that's his greatness. Made some plays in the running game, was very accurate in the passing game. Simply one of the greatest players in college football history.
And I think even more than that, he was motivating his guys on the sidelines. He was getting in his defense's face, saying, listen, let's go. We're going to pull this out. You got to make plays. We got to do this together. And I think that's something that a great leader does. You have to be able to inspire. The defense had no reason to have confidence, Reese. They were getting pummeled the first half. It was embarrassing. One of the most embarrassing performances in a half I've ever seen in football. They turned it around, got a few stops, got them to kick a few field goals, and the next thing you know, they make the big pick 6 at the end, and then A&M wins the ball game.
And then Nate Askew is one of the better athletes on the team. Never really quite meshed at receiver, so they moved him to linebacker, and he came up with the game-sealing interception. So as bad as A&M's defense was, they ended up making the game-saving plays. But make no mistake, A&M's not close in this game, if not for the leadership and the virtuoso performance of Johnny Manziel. You go back over the history of college football and you think of the great individual game-changing quarterbacks. You can date back to Roger Staubach or Archie Manning, maybe Fran Tarkenton or Doug Flutie, Michael Vick, Cam Newton in the modern era. None of them, I think, even as exciting as they were, none of them were more magnetic or more captivating than Johnny Manziel.
No, I don't think I've ever been disappointed when I've turned on a game that Johnny Manziel's played, and he's always done his part. Listen, there's a lot of quarterbacks across college football that's afforded the opportunity to play with a really good defense. He's never had that. He scored 40 in 14 straight games, and they're losing 3 or 4 games in that span. So he's a player that's had a scrutiny off the field as much as anybody, with all the Twitter and everything that comes along with what he did, and a defense that wasn't at his back all the time and was still able to come out and meet every expectation every single time.
One of the greatest of all time, must-watch television. His style of play was just simply unique. The legacy at Texas A&M, he brought them back to national prominence, kind of where they were in the 90s under R.C. Slocum. Became a brand name again, the team in Texas. But as an individual, even off the field, guys, how often do you see college athletes transcend the sport? He was a legit celebrity to the same level as guys like LeBron James and Tom Brady. He was Johnny Football. He was his own brand, and I said this at the end of the game. Whether or not you're a Texas A&M fan or not, if you were a fan of college football, you were lucky to watch this guy play. Maybe we're done watching him in college. Maybe it's time for him to take his game to the next level, but God, would we ever be lucky if he could come back just one more year.